the Southern Ontario Dirt Show with Jonathon Howe and Travis Cunningham. Travis, how is it going on? Are we at episode 9? I keep forgetting. I should be checking every time, but I'm like relying on you to keep me in track. I think it's 9, right?
I think this is 10.
Is this 10?
This
We're in
is
the double
this
digits
is 10.
already, eh? Wow.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I can't believe it.
Yep.
It's been crazy.
Episode. I know.
Been a busy
Yeah, I
season,
know. So
busy
what's that?
season 2 for you driving now. We had 2 races over the weekend. Got another 2 coming up this week, so you're getting the 90 thrashed on through the week, and so we're going to keep this one a little bit tight, short. We caught up with a couple drivers trackside at Merrittville last Saturdays. But yeah, let's get into Oshweekend first. Um, I know you didn't have the night you were wanted to have. You said as much on your social posts, but it was a good night for a few drivers, including your buddy Nick Sheridan, who brought it home second, and Liam Martin, who scored the big win in the Core Pack Cool Kids 360 sprint cars.
Yeah, both those kids have recently moved up from the 360s. Nick's a rookie this year. He finished second from 10th. And Liam, I'm not sure where he started, but yeah, he got the lead from Corey Turner, and they were both banging the cushion wide open, way up on the top. It was super impressive to watch. And yeah, I definitely got to get my act together in that program if I want to keep up with those guys. If the track's like that, it was like I say, my jaw was on the floor watching them, and it was a hell of a show because I pulled off first lap, so I got to watch it all. I'm actually glad I did because I honestly learned more watching them two do that than I think I would have run in the race.
Yeah, Liam started on the outside of the front row in second and just kept it out front and took care of business. And he's one of the drivers we had a chance to catch up with. We'll get to his interview in just a little bit, but also in the on the crate sprint side, another good run for Mike Bowman, who brings it home second in the crate sprints, Strickland crate sprints. But Eric Gledhill is your winner this week after starting again on the outside of the front row. So it was a track position race. It seemed like in the sprint cars at Oshweekend.
Yeah, it seems like any race nowadays, it's a big deal where you start, no matter NASCAR, mini stock, whatever, dwarf car. It seems like everyone's so tight in every division that starting position means so much. But yeah, the crate sprint race, it was actually a really awesome race. It swapped the leads a couple times. Lucas Smith was your early leader, and he looked like he was about checked out, and then his nose wing fell down, and there was a couple cautions, and Bowman ended up getting him for the lead, and he led for a while, and then I think Gledhill might have led in there between them two, but then I know for sure Gledhill got Bowman back on a late restart on the top where Bowman just got messed up racing with the other car and some lap cars, I think. I can't remember. But yeah, all I know is Gledhill got him on the top. Mike just couldn't quite get him back after that. And it was an awesome run for Gledhill, and that was his first career win. And he was another guy. He was on the top, and that was definitely the fast line at Oshweekend on Friday, right around the edge, pretty much running the return road in 1 and 2. Yep.
Yeah. And your hard charger in that one, Rob Neely gained 11 spots, finishing seventh after starting 18th in the crate sprints. 32 entries too, so definitely a great car count for the crate sprints at Oshweekend, and 29 360s on Friday night as well. Probably a good sign going into the Nationals this coming Friday at Oshweekend. Also in action at Oshweekend was the Thunderstocks. Dave Bailey takes home a win. Ended up sweeping the weekend after winning the 50 lapper on Friday night at Oshweekend, and then winning again on Saturday night at Merrittville. And in the mini stocks over at Oshweekend, it was Fabio Oliveri getting back in victory lane after starting 10th, brings it home first. Um, Hard charger goes to Tyler LaFontaine, who started 17th, still brought it home second. One spot shy. That car is just on a
Mm-hmm.
rail this year.
Yeah, the Thunderstock race, we should mention that it was 2,000 to win, so there was a lot of extra cars there. I think there was over 40. And it was the Brock Leonard Memorial. That's Doug Leonard's dad, the race
Yep.
director at, I think, yeah, all 3 tracks. So yeah, that was Dougie's dad's big day. So awesome for him. It was cool to have his race before, and then my dad's race the next night. And so yeah, Dave Bailey was out front, but I know Chris Hale had an awesome run in that race. I believe he came from 22nd to second and was within a door of getting the $2,000 from Bailey at the line. So awesome run for Chris Hale to pass 20 cars in those 50 laps. But yeah, $2,000 to win. That was more than the 360s on Friday.
Yeah, it was a wild drive from Hale. Like seeing the plus 20 next to the hard charger, it's just pretty wild. And there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of DNFs too. Looking at the Thunderstocks, looks like up to 14th place was still running, and then 15th on back DNF'd.
Yeah. 50 lappers in the street stocks. A lot of us always say, like, when is the trannies going to start melting and they'll start smoking and stuff, because those trannies aren't quite meant to go 50 laps. Like, they do 100 lappers at Ransomville sometimes, but that's why they're so rare, just because the transmissions sometimes let go and a lot of other stuff on those cars. So 50 laps is just at the edge of almost too much for them. So that's why you see a lot of attrition. But the cars that did hold it together put on an awesome race for sure. And yeah, the mini stocks, talk about them. Fabio Oliveri, awesome job for him to pick up the win.
Yeah, good to see Oliver get back in. He is one of the toughest competitors out there. He always is pushing the edge. At Merrittville, I think I've seen him get to victory lane in the last few seasons at Merrittville, maybe once or maybe even twice. He's just always right there, always mixing it up in that 16 car, and yeah, good to see him break through. Good to see a little bit of somebody different. As much as Tyler LaFontaine still ends up second. Always good when we get
Yeah.
a little variety in victory lane. At least that's what I like to see.
Yeah, anybody in the mini stock division that can claim they beat LaFontaine, definitely saying they did something. So that's a rare loss for the 96 and an awesome win for the 16 on Friday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tyler LaFontaine. I can't remember what happened to him on Saturday night, but he ended up 13th after starting 13th. I think it was it might have been tire related.
Flat tire or something?
Yeah, it might have been a flat
There
tire. I
was
think that
something
brought him into the
on his
pits
Facebook I
late.
read.
Yeah. So not the
Very
night he
late, and he
won it
just
at
didn't have enough
Saturday.
time.
No, not the night he won it on Saturday, but it was the night that Kenny Hare wanted. Ken Hare in the 5K starts ninth, brings it home first in the Van Sickle Pet Value PV on the lane, 4 cylinders, and Brian Obey in the started third in the 5 and was able to keep it up there. Battled Kenny Hare for the lead late, and give a shout out to Leroy Buscombe as well. He brought it home third after starting 14th. Austin Worcester 11th. Again, knocking on the door for Austin, but wasn't able to quite get it done this week. I think that 71 is due, though. He's getting pretty due for a win.
Yeah, he's had a couple last year, so it's no doubt he'll find it soon. But yeah, Hare, he's been fast a lot this year as well, and it was cool to see him pick up win. I don't think I've ever seen him win. That was the first time I've ever seen him win. I know he's always been fast. I know he has won before, I believe. I just never seen it, I don't think. And then, so yeah, his car definitely looks cool, like we talked about before. Yeah, I just love the look of his
Yeah,
car.
he had a big win last year. I can't remember if it was directly after his flip. But like early in the season last year, he flipped it in turn 3 and 4, which you don't really see a mini stock just bite it and flip like that too often. But I went for a wild ride and then came back and won. I don't think the next week, but it was a little later in the season. So that car's been fast for like the last
Definitely.
year and a half, and
Anytime I see it,
I
really.
guess he Kenny put it in victory lane tonight or this week.
Yeah.
Easy for me to say. And before we get too far into the Merrittville results, I wanted to do our first interview. I wanted to get in the Oshweekend winner, Liam Martin, who was all business, I thought, in this interview. I don't know how you felt about it. We were both there talking to him. I know you guys were in your fire suits getting ready to go pre-race, but I was really impressed. This kid has got a lot of confidence after the win, a lot of professionalism, and I think this could be the start of big things. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. Liam's always shown talent ever since I've seen him since the crates. He's got a lot of big wins in the crates, and that was his first 360 win. And yeah, interviewing people right before we go out like that, yeah, we're definitely going to be in race mode. But I think Liam's just like that anyway. If we probably would have, he's always in the zone, ready to go. Definitely no messing around, all business, like you said. And he's definitely got a professional team going over there in the Nitro 54 number 9, owned by Steve Lyons, who owns Creative Edge, who also, like, he does a lot of the cars up at Ashweekend, the lettering and stuff. So yeah, Liam, like you said, all business, and definitely not his last win in the 360s, I can guarantee you.
All right, let's catch up with Liam Martin right now. Catching up with sprint car driver Liam Martin after his first win. It's the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Welcome to the show, Liam.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. You're back at Merrittville Speedway. You got the Gary Cunningham Memorial tonight, the SOS Sprints. How are you feeling? How much confidence do you have coming off the big performance?
We come into the race every night with the same kind of confidence. Just go about your night as much as, or the same as you would any other night.
All right, Liam, you picked up your first 360 career win last night. It was a flawless performance, banging the cushion way up on the lip like a man. Tell us about your performance and tell us how good it felt just to get that first 360 win.
It was an amazing feeling. I can't even explain it. The car was just on rails, and I can't thank anybody else enough other than crew chief and Dan Anicote, Steve Lyons.
So you're back at Merrittville. Now you got a kind of a trickier track after the Big O last night. What can you take from your performance last night to apply to what's probably going to be a really hot racetrack here tonight?
We can apply the track surfaces. It might be a little bit similar because of the temperature and the sun all day. It should be similar, hopefully, and we'll set up the car accordingly.
Okay, Liam. So the first I ever saw you in a car was a crate sprint. That was a couple years ago, and you were super small back then, really young. Did you race anything before that? Tell us about your career coming up.
No problem. Well, my dad got me into asphalt go-karts when I was 7, and I raced them until I was 13. I got a championship, got a bunch of wins, and then me and my dad thought it was just time to move up. And we wanted to take a bigger step and not go all the smaller steps, so we just jumped right into a crate sprint car, and everything worked out pretty good.
So you started on asphalt. Was there a big learning curve when you had to switch over to the dirt, or was it something you adjusted to pretty quickly?
The dirt wasn't that much of a difference. It's a huge difference, but the thing with the go-karts is that you learned how to be pretty smooth all along. And then as soon as you jump into a sprint car, you got that smoothness already, and that really helps you straight out of the gate.
And then just talk about the difference then between when you're going from the crate sprint to the 360 sprint and all the stuff you had to learn doing that switch.
Yeah, for sure. It was quite the jump for sure. The power was the biggest change, obviously. The nicer thing with the 360 car opposed to the crate is that you have more of a free car all the time because you have that horsepower to be able to get out of situations that you want to get out of. In the crate, you kind of have to have a looser car so that you are more flexible on the racetrack. And with the 360, you're just more, I don't know, you can do anything you want, really.
So after a big win at Oshweekend last Friday, how much are you looking forward to getting out for the first of 3 Sprint Car Nationals this week?
I'm super pumped. It was just good to get some good track time at Oshweekend for sure and get the car kind of dialed in. It seems like the racetrack's kind of starting to get a little consistent, but you just never know with track crews and then weather.
And then just tell us about your plans for the rest of the year. We got the KOT starting next week, and then you guys been traveling a lot to start the year. You got any plans for the end of the year traveling?
Near the end of the season, we might try and go down to Florida potentially, but that's still up in the air. And then the rest of the season, we're going to focus on our Oshweekend points for sure, and then just hit as many shows as possible.
Liam, we'll get you out of here on this. So, you guys are both suited up, ready for race night here. So I'm going to give you one car, one racetrack, anywhere in the world, any kind of car. What do you want to drive for one drive for the rest of your life?
Well, sprint cars are pretty fun, I'd say, and I think that's what I'd like to do for sure. And racetrack-wise, I'd like to try out Knoxville. That's a place I'd like to try out.
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time, Liam. Good luck tonight. Travis Cunningham, Jonathon Howe live at Merrittville ahead of the Gary Cunningham Memorial for the Southern Ontario Sprints.
All right, that was Liam Martin, who secured his first 360 sprint car win at Oshweekend last Friday, and has definitely got himself feeling pretty confident going into the Nationals on Canada Day this week. So, Travis, before, again, we already started kind of with Merrittville, so not to jump too far back in time here, but sprint car Nationals on Friday. Give me some predictions. I mean, I know you're gonna your plan is to be there to be a part of it, obviously. Big money on the line. What's your predictions? Take yourself out of the equation. Who are some of the favorites? How you handicapping the sprint car Nationals on Friday night?
Wow. So we definitely got to start with the 2 Burger Barn cars. They've been super fast all year. Corey and Ryan Turner, and they've definitely got a hot setup going at Oshweekend, so definitely look for them to be fast. Yeah, there's so many good cars right now. I know, like Jordan Poirier's not coming. He's got commitments. Like a lot of ESS guys can't come because they were during their ESS Speed Week, which starts Wednesday this week and then goes through Saturday. So Poirier and some of those guys can't make it. But I do know the Patriots, I think, are off. I know Jared Zimbardi's coming, so he'll be right up there in the mix. And there's going to be 20 cars that can win the race. Mikey Krechka can win the race. And even the 2 guys that were fast last week, Nick and Liam, Aaron Turkey. There's so many. I don't want to leave anybody out, but like I say, the Burger Barn cars have definitely been looking super fast this year, and I wouldn't be shocked if they won one. And Zimbardi's always quick when he comes to Oshweekend. Yeah, those are my predictions. Really, not really much. Anybody can win this one. That's
Okay.
the whole thing.
So in terms of now shifting the
Because
focus to
we,
you, buddy, what are
yeah,
you gonna do? What are you gonna need to do to get yourself into that mix? What do you think you're gonna need out of yourself and out of the car to be
well,
involved in that one?
the best part about the Nationals is it's $1,000 to start. So that's goal one. Get in the race, and you're making third place money or better on a normal night. I think it's only 800 for third, so it's right between third and second money, just to start the race. So you can finish last as long as you qualify. $1,000. So that's as much as a crate win on a normal night. So that's always goal one at a race like that. This race isn't going to have quite as many cars as a normal Nationals, like I said. So there's not going to be as many ringers coming in. So that's why it's hard to predict. Like before, you like a PPM would be coming in, or a Haferteep, or Wayne Johnson, Shane Stewart, Poirier. Like so, it was easier to predict back. But now, like it's a lot of guys aren't coming. It's just gonna be us locals. Matt Farnham is one I should have said, is because he's finished second in the last Canadian Nationals. He will be there, and so he finished second to his teammate Scott Kruder, who was unfortunately not able to make this one because he was the last Canadian Sprint Car Nationals winner in Kruder, and they're both teammates. So wouldn't surprise me at all to see Farnham in victory lane. And another big name I thought of that I saw on the list, but not sure if he's coming because he's ESS. Some guys signed up even though just in case. Like I know Poirier's on the list, but he's not coming. It's Paulie Giovanni if he shows up. He's definitely a wheelman as well. Last year's ESS champion, and we could see him in victory lane if he shows. I'm not sure if he is or not. And yeah, it's just so wide open this year. I can't wait to get there. And after, like I said, when we talk back to me, like getting the show step one, and then if your qualifying went better than you expect and you can lock into a top 10, then it's all about dialing it in and hoping you can hang with those guys and try to see where the line is. And I'm usually better if the bottom's better, but I have won races on the top as well. But last Friday was just so far out there. It was definitely tricky, but it wasn't tricky for Nick or Liam. So, and the track could be different this week. Who knows what's going to happen? The track has been pretty much different every time at Weekend all 3 times this year. So, see what happens Friday. And like I said, it's the most wide open nationals I've ever seen.
Awesome. That's going to make for a lot of fun for all of us who are going to be spectating that one and catching it on G-Force as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Turning our attention back towards Merrittville Speedway on Saturday night, the Gary Cunningham Memorial, your dad's race. It was a real special one, a real solid one too for if your last name was Turner for sure, with Corey getting the win, and then Ryan bringing home third, and I was just I was convinced that Ryan was playing with Corey on that one restart. I don't know if you've had a chance to. I don't. I think as we're recording this, I think the G4 stream is probably streaming like
No, it's,
right now. So,
yeah.
uh, but when you get a chance, go and watch. I want to say it was either the last restart or the second to last restart of that race. Ryan pulled up. He told me in victory lane he was just cleaning out the engine, but I was like, is this guy playing mind games with his brother, trying to pull up on the outside of him just to say like, hey, I'm there, buddy. I'm there, big bro. I'm gonna come and challenge you for this win. That was pretty entertaining stuff from the Turners, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of both. He definitely probably was clearing out his engine, and if he let it go a little far to show his brother he was there, like Corey knows he's there too, because the board nowadays, right? Like back in the day, you might not have known that, but we can all see the board for the top 5 now, so you know who's behind you. So that takes that a little bit, but it was definitely a good run for Ryan Susi because he finished second, I believe, right? Susi, yeah, he was in second. So what I
Well,
noticed in
Susie
victory,
just rallied. Yeah,
yeah, what I noticed in victory lane was
yeah, he really
all 3
rallied
guys
like
were on our
late.
show, right? 3 guests.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what I
I
thought was
was
cool.
convinced that maybe we were bad luck, but no,
Yeah,
Susie jumps in a sprint car, and he really had a great night. He had a great night overall, but started fifth in the sprints, brought it home second, and just kind of lurked there the most of the race, and eventually was able to get Ryan Turner late, and maybe on another restart he might have been able to catch Corey, but Corey was just he figured something out. He was wound up. I don't know how you noticed this from the driver's seat, especially because you're usually a bottom feeder, anyways. But all night long, all classes, turn two was such a problem spot for crazy moments going wide. There was so
yeah,
many times where I watched a driver wash out wide, trying to sail it around the outside and maybe catch the rounded part of the backstretch of the D, and they would just lose all their momentum and just wash out down there, wash out up there. Yeah, it was a tricky turn too. So Even though I think, would you say that was a bit of a topside track though?
No, I think it was a little bit more bottom to middle, like even in the modifieds. David Flanagan Jr. did a real good job leading well over half the race, just plugging the bottom. Out of four, there was a ton of bite on the bottom coming out of there. And then one and two, like the top, there wasn't much of a top. That's why you saw a lot of cars fall off. Like you said, like on the last lap, Liam Martin was right ahead of me and he fell off. I thought I was going to get him maybe a couple more laps. I could have got him for fourth. But the top wasn't quite there. It was definitely more of a bottom to middle track. That's where Matt made his pass for the win through the middle of one and two. And then the top started to come in three and four in the modified race. Matt was getting it to work, but I definitely would say that track was a more of a bottom to middle. There was still a little quite because we raced in the daytime. Let's say that too. Like it was pretty much daylight while we were out there, so that's you can really see the brown in the track then when there's so much light. And there's definitely a little bit more brown on the bottom and in the middle than there was on the top on Saturday.
Yeah, it was fun. I was kind of expecting. I just kept waiting for that top side to come in, and a couple guys kept trying it, but it worked a little better in three and four, like you say, especially by the time the mods got out there for their feature. But for you guys, like turn two, even before we even really got going, wild ride for Sean Slider and turn two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. Did you have any perspective on that
Oh
from
yeah,
your seat? That crazy
yeah,
flip that Sean went for.
yeah. I was right behind them,
What did you
and
see?
I just saw them two guys zigging into the same spot. That him and Adam West started on the front row, and we came to green. And I go in the one, they both just kind of wiggled the same way, and left rear hit right rear, and definitely sent Sean flipping. And I instantly thought I might be heading towards him, so I carved it to the left quickly. I was glad I missed him. But a tough break for Sean. I went to look over at the car, and the right front torsion arm was 4 miles in the air, and the whole front of the car was bent, and definitely didn't look good. And I felt bad for Sean there, and it was just really a racing deal. Two cars coming together at the wrong time, coming in the middle of one and two there.
Yeah, and most fortunate part of that whole deal was that Sean was okay, got out of the car, walked away under his own power. So that was not the only wild ride we saw at Merrittville on Saturday night either, because
Mm-mm.
we had a flip in a modified. When was the last time you saw a 358 flip at Merrittville? I don't think I've seen one since I started. Maybe once, but I don't think I can remember seeing one in 4 years.
I've seen quite a few since yeah, it started coming in like early 2000s. So I've seen because the back then, like whenever it gets a curb, it's a little bit easier to flip.
Hmm.
Like the flip we saw Saturday was because Shane, like so, Lindbergh spun out in the middle of three and four, and I was watching it like slow motion from my pit stall. I had an awesome view from it, and it was almost like I say slow motion. And Lindbergh spun out. I don't really know what happened there. All I know is he got turned the wrong way on the backstretch, sitting sideways.
Hmm.
And it looked like the whole field was about to miss him, and I was literally about to say, "Oh my God, they're all going to miss him," because I thought for sure someone was going to hit him. And then sure enough, Shane was probably one of the fourth or fifth last cars to pass him, and he got him side to side. And that's what did all Shane's damage was the side to side hit on Lindbergh. And then like he just kind of toppled over for the flip. It wasn't that really hard of a flip, but the main impact was the side to side hit initially, and that was a super tough break for Shane. I hated to see it. Uh, Definitely a low buck guy. I don't know how that's going to affect his season. If something happened with me, that would be putting me out for at least a couple of weeks, so I know how that feels. Hopefully, he's got a lot of help. I know he does at the Outlaw Chassis House and all that stuff, and he's got lots of great supporters. So hopefully, we can see the 88 back eventually this year. And yeah, but just hated to see that. And then today I saw the Limburg car getting fixed at work. So yeah, tough break for those two.
Yeah, Lindbergh was the bottom side of a three wide battle coming off of turn two. And it was Maddie in the middle, Williamson in the middle, and then I think it was Susie on the high side. And they were all just wheel to wheel. And I think Lindbergh came up, Susie came down. There was not really any space for Maddie to go, and Lindbergh ended up getting the worst of it. He spins it on the backstretch, and then yeah, Shane Pierce might have been on the bottom side of a two wide, if not three wide battle too, and there's nowhere for him to go but to pile in there.
Yeah, he was definitely in the
Yeah,
group of cars.
it
Yep.
was a racy night though for the
Yeah.
modifieds. Like, yeah, I
Yep.
know that we didn't have as much of a top side, but because we didn't, a lot of guys really fighting for that bottom side, and taking a look at the war. It was another war of attrition too, because we only had 10 cars actually finish the race. Um, Gruel blew an engine. Freddie Carl, or well, I don't think actually Gruel. I think it was
No,
something else
Gruel
on
actually
Gruel.
blew a power steering line, And
Yes, it was
Freddie,
power steering. That's right.
he didn't really say what it was,
Freddie,
but I
that
think it was a motor for Fred.
I I'm not. I'm hesitant to say it was the whole on engine because I remember a couple weeks ago when we had the race at Humberstone, he had smoke coming off the back of that, and it just ended up being
Oh
a
yeah,
loose oil line, right? So, but that
yep.
looked a
It
little
was
bit
the
more
valve
than
cover
just a
cap.
loose
Yeah.
oil line. Yeah, for sure. So
Yep.
tough break for Freddie. Yeah, only 10 cars actually ended up finishing that one. Um, Williamson gets the win over Ryan Susie. Pete Bicknell brings it home third after starting 11th. Dave Flanagan Jr., who kind of looked like he had that race won for a really long time. And I think
If it wasn't for all the
if
cautions, he would have had it, I think.
yeah, that or even just the race itself, the track changing through the race, right? Because he was so good on the bottom side, but once other drivers were able to use different lines through the field, he had a harder time defending and holding things down on just that bottom side. Chad Chevalier had a heavily damaged race car from one of those incidents, and he brought it home fifth. And our second interview of the show, Mike Bowman, brings it home sixth in one of his returns to Merrittville in a 358 modified. Let's throw to that interview now. Let's catch up with Mike Bowman.
All right, we're catching up with Mike Bowman inside his trailer ahead of a busy night at Merrittville. Mike, tell us about how your season's been going so far and being back at Merrittville.
Pretty good. Lots of top fives knocking on the door, but still got the monkey following me around on my back.
And you've tackled this crate sprint this year, and you had a little bit of experience with the past. Now you're really taking it on full time. And tell us about the drive in crate sprints.
Things have been going pretty good. I wouldn't say we're going at it full time per se. We had a schedule laid out, and with things shifting around at Humberstone, that sort of forced us to pivot and shift a little bit. Of course, we're back at Merrittville because of that. We had an opportunity to ditch at Ransomville last night without any penalty as far as a points run's concerned. So that's why we were at Oshweekon last night, and we learned a lot. We had a great time, clean run, and just came up one spot short.
All right, Mike, you had lots of good runs back in your sportsman days at Oshweekon, couple wins, I believe, and even the 358, you run good there. Does anything transfer over? Because you finished second last night right out of the box in your crate sprint. So did that help at all, your previous experience?
Probably. The place hasn't changed a whole bunch since then. I think maybe, if anything, the experience of driving modifieds around on the slick is maybe what helped me last night, and being able to look at the surface and see where there's brown or maybe some stripes of brown to catch with the right rear. And I wish I had moved around a little bit more, tried the top a little bit more last night, but hindsight's always 20/20.
So between your modified experience and now the crate sprints, have you picked a favorite yet, or is it still there's two things you kind of love about both?
I'd say it's still hands down modified's my favorite thing to race, but we'll see if something else ends up under the hood of the sprint car, and then maybe things will shift again.
So you just said so you're thinking of maybe moving up to 360s at some point then?
I'm considering it. It's watching the races. I mean, it's and talking to you, Travis. I mean, it's pretty obvious there's a few more cautions per race in the crate division than there is with the 360s, and you get racing with a little more experienced guys. So last night the cautions were kind of killing me. I needed a bit more of a long run, and you get in your groove, and you can make things happen. But when you're just doing 2-lap stints, it kind of holds you back a little bit.
All right, so the modified life. Obviously come off a big championship in the last year at Merrittville. Just tell us about driving here once again, and obviously pretty divisive issue with the wings on the side, the sail panels and different motors, but it seems like everything is starting to balance out, at least from a fan perspective, over what you've seen to start the year and now that you're behind the driver's seat. Do you see a difference between the sail panels and non-sail panels?
I mean, I think the guys running them are feeling more of a difference, than the guys that aren't running them. Guys like us, guys like Matty, Gary, in the 358s, that they have a notebook that they're rolling off of, and and we do too. So for guys like us, it's not a big change. I don't see the. I mean, we're getting some different winners. I mean, obviously Brad won last week, which is good for the track, good for the fans. We need to see new faces in victory lane and get new guys pumped up to come car racing. But yeah, I don't know. I've made my bed, and had Humberstone not shifted the schedule, I don't think I'd be here. Rankin sponsored last week, and they're one of our biggest local construction accounts. So obviously it was important for us to come out and support them. Tonight obviously is Gary's father, or Travis's father, Gary's night, and he gave me my start in 358. So we wouldn't miss a Gary Cunningham Memorial. We haven't missed one yet, and I'm not going to start it this year. So here we are.
All right, Mike, I usually do a lot of traveling the end of the year, or a little bit anyways. Do you have any of that plans this year?
We've talked about Dirt Week. Obviously we all saw the track there last year. Unfortunately, Eric Kingsley's passed away, and from what we know, he's kind of the wizard at getting that place to stick together. So we ran the 150 for a first time in 2019. We'd love to go back if we could guarantee that the surface would be like that, but if not, then I don't know, maybe we'll just go down and do the satellite shows. Hit the money shows from Labor Day until then.
So you told a pretty good story on Facebook. So for some of us who may not have seen it, about Travis's dad Gary and doing some donuts. So if you want to share that with the podcast, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that was 2016, the Spring Sizzler, and we passed Chad Brackman for the lead, I don't know, mid-race somewhere, and we had a very dominant car that night. It was, and it's fun, especially when you get to beat a guy like Chad, who's at the time was the reigning champion, and you get to swat him bad opening night. It's gets you pumped up. So yeah, then on the way out to the front stretch, I pull a donut, and this guy comes over. Gary hates donuts. So, and then of course Warren Mowat chimed in today, and Travis told me before the race, like, Gary would be chirping every NASCAR driver that won on TV when they're doing burnouts, or just basically saying, yeah, the engine guy didn't want to look at anything, like they're just out there melting it down. So yeah, so no more donuts out of this kid.
That's pretty much it for me. I got to get going to start the car, Johnny.
Yeah, I hear noise.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here. Thanks for taking the time, Mike, and good luck tonight. And thanks for coming on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show.
All right, anytime, guys.
All right, that was Mike Bowman on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, catching up with him pre-race. I really liked the story about the donuts and your dad. That was a nice touch ahead of your dad's race on the weekend. And then, of course, on Sunday night, I'm watching my driver Chase Elliott burn it down after winning. All I can think about now is I'm like, oh, Travis's dad would be so pissed.
Yep. Anytime, ever since the donuts became a cool thing to do, which I personally hate them too. Like the sprint cars, when they do donuts, it's bad because like the sprint cars, you can do a donut with like 3,000 RPM, so it's just like, rah, it's not that big of a deal. But like a dirt modified or a NASCAR, like you gotta burn that, like you gotta bring that thing up and just wing it, and like literally like destroy the engine. Like they're doing nothing good in NASCAR, especially NASCARs. They run such thin oil and everything. Like that, like they definitely have to rebuild it after that. But that's why you hear some, because they have to, like I think it's in the kind of like F1 now where they have to use the engine for such amount of races. That's why maybe some guys won't do such a. I hear them asking sometimes, "Can I burn it down or not?" And it's like, ugh, yeah. An engine builder definitely cringes a little bit on the burnouts, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I don't remember if there's any specific caps or any limits to it right now. That'd be something to look into. But yeah, all I can think about now is I never thought about that. I was like, engine builders must just like lose their minds when people are blowing stuff up, or they're blowing stuff up on purpose because it's like the old Jimmy Johnson thing.
Yeah, hard to
Make
detect.
sure you bang it in on the right fender.
Yep. Oh, it wasn't just Jimmy. All those guys were doing that back then. Even now.
Absolutely. Cole Pern, I think, used to tell Martin Truex Jr. to blow the tires out for sure, so he'd tear up the back suspension.
Yeah. Yep.
Going back to Merrittville though, good racing. You wanted to make a point about Matty, kind of a win where he came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Definitely the first 12, 13, 15 laps. He wasn't really moving through traffic as much as I thought. It was almost like this is before your time, Jonathan, but a Larry Lampman Jr. drive. Like back in Larry Lampman Jr.'s day, like when I raced, I'd be running with him in like 8th or 9th on lap 20, and next thing you know, I'm still in ninth on lap 35, but Larry Lampman Jr. is in victory lane. And that's what Matt's run on Saturday reminded me of, just because he wasn't going that far earlier. But I honestly think like he got lucky with some of the guys in the middle of the. They were kind of getting into it a little bit, like the whole middle of the field. I can't point out everyone. Like everyone was rubbing Nerf bars pretty hard, and it opened up a few holes for Matt. And then got a couple key cautions, and then I think about lap 28, I'm like, Matt Williamson's going to win this thing. I said it in my pit, and I was right. And Susie had just got by early leader Flanagan, like I say, who looked like he was going to win at the beginning. But then Susie got him, and then Matt got Susie with what, like 5 to go, maybe. He found the line in
Yep.
3 and 4 on the
I think
outside,
it might
and
have
then
even
just
been a little bit. Might have been
yeah,
even a little bit earlier than that because he turned his fast lap at lap 29. I remember pointing that out on the broadcast because,
yeah,
I had race monitor open and I was looking at everybody was like, oh, lap 3 was their fastest, lap 7, lap 9, and then here's Matty like getting towards the front finally, and he's just as fast as he's been all race. I'm like, yep, that makes sense.
yeah. So Matt definitely had the car dialed in for the end of the race, which is the only laps that matter, to be honest. Really, that's facts.
Yeah, exactly. Williamson did not have the car dialed in as much on the Super Dirt Car Series side of things. Brought it home a 12th, still up one position from where he started. But I think the biggest takeaway for Matt, the biggest positive coming out of that Friday was the fact that he is your point leader right now, 25 points up on Matt Shepard, Max McLaughlin's third, Jimmy Phelps fourth, and uh, it's going to be a tight race right down to the end. I know Matt's still looking for that first Super Dirt Car Series win on the year, but 4 top 10s, 3 top 5s, pretty consistent year so far from Matty. We'll see if he can hang on to that point lead now that he's got it out front.
Yeah, I talked to Matt in the pit lineup to going in Saturday. Talked about the race the night before at Albany, Saratoga, which was won by Mike Mahaney, his second in a row there, and that's his only 2 Super Dirt Series wins for Mahaney have been at Albany, Saratoga, and they've been the last 2 times he was there. So it was an awesome run for him. The track was pretty slick and one lane. Like even Matt Shepard only finished 10th. He started back around near Matt, so that was my gauge for how like what Matt was doing. Our Matt is what Shepard was doing. So like if Shepard would have went through the field and Williamson would have stayed back, it would have been like, oh, Matt's off. But so Shepard didn't go anywhere either. It was just and another problem, Abilene Saratoga, they've got tons of local regulars that know that place inside and out. Like I believe Mahaney's a local regular. The whole top 3 was regulars. I think it was Mark Johnson and I forget who the other guy was. But I think 8 of the top 10 were local regulars. So definitely tough place to come into and beat the locals at Albany Saratoga. Matt DiLorenzo was up there too. He's the point leader there. So many awesome guys that run there.
And heading into a long weekend locally here, going to be lots of racing if you're a race fan to catch up on. We're going to be back at Humberstone Speedway. Thursday night is going to be a big G-Force show with the Knights of Thunder in action. Action Sprint Tour is there, the Canadian 358 Modifieds, which is not the actual championship for them. It's just going to be 358s visiting at Humberstone. And then Street Stocks on the card for June 30th. You're still planning on being on that at that one, correct, Travis?
Oh heck yeah, yep, be there. The bell's on. It's the KOT opener, Knights of Thunder, and yeah, my points season didn't start great last weekend, so now I'm pretty much fixing my points focus to that. Hopefully that starts a little better. And yeah, can't wait to get
Nice.
going. And I got my short track program pretty dialed in, so definitely can't wait to get back to another short track in Humberstone.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as far as Friday night, we already talked about it. It's the Sprint Car Nationals over at Oshwegan. Going to be a jam-packed night there. I I'm can't believe there's 3 of these this year. This is going to be awesome. I'm so stoked stoked for all you sprint car guys that you're going to have 3 of these to compete in to make up for the last few years. So Burger Barn presenting the 16th running of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, 10K to win for the Knights of Thunder, and Action Sprint Tour Modifieds. And I what do you think? I still don't know. I feel like it's a local guy. I think you're right. Maybe it's a Turner, but I don't know. I'm feeling local for a Friday night. That's the vibe I've got.
Well, Scott Kruger, when he was technically the first local to win, even though he's American. So like a local
Mm-hmm.
Canadian has never won. So I would love to see that a local Canadian pick up the 10 grand and keep it in Canada. And it's Canadian dollars to win this year. Has been U.S. the past few times. So definitely want to see it stay in this province and go to one of our locals.
I'm feeling confident about that. I really am. And then Saturday night, that's gonna be the only race night that I'm actually gonna get to this week. Is my other job at 97.7 Hits FM is gonna keep me real busy this weekend with a big concert series over the weekend. Born and raised in St. Catharines, but I'm gonna be there July 2nd. We got school bus racing, big fireworks show. All 5 of our local our weekly racing series back in action. So looking forward to that night. Hoping to see a lot of people out for that one and celebrating the Canada Day weekend. And it all wraps up on Pinty's Canada Day weekend, July 3rd, the Sunday show at Humberstone Speedway. It's got the Dirt Car Sportsman Series, late models, street stocks, minis, and vintage racing that day as well. So I'm pretty sure you're going to be flying solo for that call, as well as I'm going to be out in St. Catharines for that one. But we'll catch up on it. I'm sure I'll have a lot of updates from you throughout the weekend, and we're going to have lots to talk about on next week's show.
Just like always, yeah. We're going to have lots to talk about for the whole rest of the season. Like you say, the 3 Sprint Car Nationals, this one's going to be a little lighter in cars, but then the other 2 are going to be more like normal because the next one's on a Tuesday, I believe, so there's no other conflicting races for all the Americans that want to come over, and then the end of the year, there's nothing else going on. So I'm expecting that one to be a lot more like normal and see the 60-plus cars.
Awesome. Can't wait for it, and good luck this weekend, buddy, and we will talk later on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show.
Thank you. See ya.
And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe for future episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.